Okay, Itamexkanatani, good morning. It is just about 8:30 in the AM on Wednesday, June 12th, 2019, in the lunar cycle Apistishkit Satos, the flower moon, which is the second of our 6 summer lunar cycles. And I'm out here on my Wednesday morning in the Cooley Slopes of North Lethbridge to scope out coyote dens. But to my good fortune, I've got a lot more than that going on. Right now I'm watching this drama being carried out between a coyote mom and some mule deer. When I showed up here this morning, coyote mom was down at her den, and some of her babies were outside playing. I had investigated the scene yesterday and saw only 2 babies, but this morning there were 4. Ultimately there were 4. I don't know exactly how many were out when I first got here, but I saw mama by the den, and as I approached, kind of on the adjacent coulee slope where I sit right now, the closer that I got, the more like kind of parallel to her den I got. The mama hiked up the slope and brought herself into kind of sentry position on the top of the coulee slope, higher and higher the closer that I got to her den. I'm not quite parallel to it, but I've got a good view of it. And for a while I was watching the coyote pups, all 4 of them playing out there, just having a really good time. And mama was up on the rim, and she was watching me, watching her pups. And I think I got a little bit of good footage. Some of the coyote pups were even playing with magpies at one point while getting frustrated with them. There's one pup out right now that I can see, actually. But in any case, as I was kind of filming and watching the pups in this scene over here with mom on the ridge, I saw that the mule deer that were way down in the bottom of the Cooley Valley when I first arrived had started to make their way up the side of the Cooley slope. There's a small herd of them, just 6. And when they approached the top of the ridge where mama was, she intentionally, I think, led them back down the slope, away from her den. Now, how she called them back down the slope, deer are herd animals. If you ever read that Horse Whisperer book, the original whisperer for animals, that Horse Whisperer book describes how you can train deer through body language to follow you, to join up, basically. I think the author called it. I can't remember the author, I'd say, but this guy had a gift for talking to horses, and he could apply that same gift to talking to deer. And one of the things you could do is, turn away from them and kind of offer a side back shoulder, hey? And if the deer is alone, they might want to link up with you. But what I saw the coyote do doesn't make sense, because the deer's not alone. He's got a whole herd of 6, and yet the coyote was able to say, hey, why don't you come down the slope and follow me down this way? And they followed for quite a while before they turned back. The deer had kind of turned back, and now I'm waiting to see whether or not they actually get to the coyote den site while I'm here. Of course, I have a purpose for observing all of this morning. You might have remembered in my last video I mentioned that there are some coyote pups up north who are in need of adoption. There are 8 of them, actually, I've learned. And this is at I think they're Medicine Lake Wildlife Sanctuary. Cochrane Ecological Society might be involved, but I've just talked to a couple of people from up there, and I identified this particular den by kind of just putting the word out on my Rattlesnakes of Lethbridge page, putting a post out that I'm in search of coyote dens and skunk dens for the introduction of babies, established dens with families there that already have babies. And with the skunks, I haven't turned up any assistance, but with the coyotes, the Lethbridge Trail Runners Association members got a hold of me and let me know about this den here. And it's pretty perfect. With 4 pups, the most we're going to be able to introduce is 2, but that's that's two more than they have now, right? So I'm looking for a second den. I went to Cottonwood Park earlier this morning and was unsuccessful there, even though I know that there's coyote families. But if I can find one more den before maybe Sunday, because I think Sunday is when we're going to bring the pups down, or when they're going to bring the pups down and we're going to introduce them to the dens. So pretty cool that we're going to have coyote pups being introduced down here. In any case, like I'm excited to kind of watch and see what develops. You know, this is kind of experimental, although they've been playing with it for about 5 years and it seems to be very successful. They were telling me about a recent adoption of red fox babies into a fox family, you know, out in a natural area, and they got game cam footage of mama fox nursing the newly introduced babies. So it works from what they've seen, and I'm interested to follow this and see how it goes. But yeah, hopefully I'll find one more coyote den to do this with, and if you're in Lethbridge and you know of one, let me know. I'm gonna keep looking at what's going on over here. I see the deer kind of gathering. I'll show you with my camera. The deer kind of gathering just above the, or just at the coulee rim. The coulee rim that's above the den site, and they've actually turned to walk up the rim rather than down toward the den. I've lost track of Mama. She might be sneaking up on me at this very moment. No, I had an occasion where I was hunted by coyotes actually, late at night out on the Riverstone area. I was out in the winter at like 30 below, maybe 2 a.m. on a coulee ridge just like this, and I saw a coyote maybe 50 meters down the slope from me trot up and just sit there. And I thought, that's pretty weird. You know, most coyotes run when they see me in general, you know, unless there's food around. They might stick around and bark at me, or in this case, you know, this mama has her puppies. But that coyote just sat there, and so I got up and I closed the distance by almost half, I think. And then I kind of hunkered back down and I looked, and she was just sitting there watching me. We were getting closer, you know, distance wise. And then this little voice went off in my head and said, Ryan, she's just a decoy. Then I got creeped out, and I turned around and hiked back up the slope. And as soon as I got up on the coulee rim again, where I had been to begin with, there were 2 other coyotes waiting there for me. And they scattered when they saw me approaching, you know. But then I was really creeped out because I knew something was going on. So I started walking back home. And as I was walking out of the coulees, I had a headlamp. That was my only, you know, light source. As I was walking back out of the coulees, every time I turned my head, those coyotes were behind me and they'd scatter. It was it's a little bit hair-raising. I don't know what they'd have done. I don't know if they'd have taken me down or what, but they were checking it out. They were thinking about it. Yeah, the mule deer are now like congregated in a pocket just upslope from the den. I'm gonna see what else they do here. I might do a little bit of update before I leave the coulees here, but I've got some other business that I gotta attend to soon. Last 2 days, well, yesterday and today, I'm checking out commercial properties that I might use as my training center / retail storefront for the entrepreneurial program that I'm going to be running this winter out of Samas Aboriginal Employment and Training. But I got to line up those spaces right quick. So I'm hunting for real estate. Ooh, they're approaching the den. I gotta cut off here and watch what happens. So it's now about 11 o'clock in the AM, and on to other business. The scene at the Coyote den didn't end too dramatically. The deer just simply ended up going over that next ridge to the other slope, and Mama Coyote started going back toward the den, but of course wasn't going to go all the way back there, so that she didn't actually lead me to the pups. I stayed there as long as I could. Then I had to get going to go have a meeting downtown to look at a rental property for the Psalmist program, and yeah, I saw a pretty good property. I got one more to look at, and then I kind of got to juggle between the 5 or 6 that I've seen and decide which one maybe we want to go with. Meanwhile, while I was looking at the real estate, I got a skunk call, and this is a West Side residence, the property that I'm currently at. And they have a shed here. Buddy saw a skunk come under his fence over here. There's kind of a burrow. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, a skunk dug under the fence. So he's seen him go under and then come behind his shed. And when he went and looked behind the shed, he saw that there was, behind this lattice board, yeah, there's a burrow under here, a couple of good access points, right? And he could smell and hear some skunk back here. So asked me if I could come get rid of the animal, and I said, yeah, I'll come right by immediately with a trap, which I did. Drove in, and well, he was showing me the scene when I lifted those lattice boards here about an hour ago. I found 3 baby skunks wandering around back in there. So I didn't have my camera with me at the time. I just grabbed one of them, put it in my trap, and I ended up taking it to my safe house. I've got a supporter who's been watching my YouTube channel for some time, who's decided to provide to let me access to her house as a facility where I can bring some of these wildlife, that I have to hold temporarily. These skunks, of course, I'm going to try to catch this whole family. If I can catch the whole family and the mom with them, then I can find an alternate den site, release all of them together, and hopefully things will go well. But that's a big if, because mama skunks are not easy to catch in my experience. The babies are super easy to catch, and the moms are super wary during that time. So we'll see what we get here. We'll definitely catch some more babies. You can look forward to in the morning seeing a whole bunch more babies caught out of this location, I think. Maybe even later this evening. And we'll see our little group at my private little wildlife safe house is going to grow significantly. So anybody in Lethbridge that has a skunk family living on your property, that are den in there, that you know that there's kits and you wouldn't mind having 1 or 2 more kits introduced, let me know, because I'm getting a lot of skunk babies at this point. They're fun and everything, but they still got their full stink capacity. It's illegal to keep them as pets and stuff in Alberta, and so you're not going to find anybody to descent them. But so I'm trying to see if I can find families to introduce them to. If I don't, then worst case scenario, they're staying at the safe house for 4 or 5 months until they're able to kind of leave on their own. So that's one of the things that's going on. I'm going to set this up, and then I've got to scoot out to other business. I've got somebody wanted to adopt one of the skunk babies, and I let her have the skunk for a couple of nights, and she's changed her mind now. So I'm going to go retrieve that, bring it back to the safe house, and then hopefully look at another little piece of real estate downtown, and we'll see what else comes. It's a warm day. I've got Polly with me. Might have snake calls. Probably are going to get other wildlife calls, injured birds and stuff. Fledglings right now. Fledglings are the big thing, so I'm expecting more of those. But we'll see what happens in this round. Okay, it's about 7 o'clock in the PM now, and my day is pretty much a wrap unless I happen to get a snake call, and I don't really know where all my snakes are. I don't get it.
probably I'll get a rush of calls coming in eventually here, but we'll see. Maybe this is just going to be a slow snake year. We've had a couple of really high-paced ones, so who knows? I don't get it though. Any case, I've had kind of a busy afternoon. Went over to the house, mowed the lawn for Mahoney, and visited for a little bit, an hour or so. The high tensions between Mahoney and I have kind of broken over. It's starting to wane. I hope it goes away, and I hope we don't have a revisit to it, because I think, you know, her and I have just known each other too long to be at each other's throats about things. After my visit at the house, I went over to the gym, met up with Chelsea to do some strength training, and then spent a little time in the sauna, sweating a bit, and a cool down in the pool afterwards. Then I went downtown, had our kind of last meeting for a couple of months with the Lethbridge Combat Sports Commission. We don't have another event till September, so we're not going to meet again till probably late August. And during all this time in the afternoon, I had two different requests for assistance with Magpie fledglings. One of those requests I was able to just kind of subvert, if that's what you call it, I don't know. But basically, I'm getting a lot of calls for birds that don't really have any problems with them, and that one I was able to take care of just online, messaging back and forth with the guy, and got a picture of the bird, and it was looking just fine, standing up on the end of a fence, and it's just a typical fledgling that's just not flying yet, you know. So I let the guy know that bird is just fine, leave him alone. People start projecting things onto it, you know. He's seeing it, he's looking at it, can't fly, and he's saying, oh, its stomach looks, you know, like it's pulled in or something. No, you know, it looked fine. It's just a young bird that's not flying yet. But give it a day or two and he'll be on his way. The second magpie call was actually the first one, but the one that I actually had to go and deal with. This one was a couple of work cohorts in town who are colleagues who came across a bird who they thought looked like it's having a problem. It might be even having a problem because it does got a little bit of a bloodshot eye on the one side, which could indicate that it's being attacked by other magpies and being beat up because it's, you know, I don't know why, but it seems like when there's, in the corvids, if there's a member that's just not going to make it or they got some problem with it, I don't know what the deal could be, but they attack it, and a lot of times they pluck at the eyes. And so this happened to, for instance, to my pet magpie Alex, who's at Mahoney's house. Alex is missing one of his, well, he's still got his eye, but it doesn't work right. You know, he's blind on one side. His eye was basically pecked out by other magpies the time that I picked him up. So it could have been something like that, I don't know, but otherwise he seems very healthy, so I think I'm probably going to try to introduce him to a family, even maybe this evening. I might swing by right now past the university and see if I can introduce him to something else, because I think the least thing he needs is some time in captivity, you know. And then I'll probably swing by and check the wildlife safe house, see how things are going on over there with the skunkies, and then go home. So this might be the end of my video for the day. I don't know. We'll see. But if so, looking forward to tomorrow, and I expect to wake up to a whole bundle of baby skunks to go pick up. So I'm just at the university campus now, and looking for a family to adopt this guy into. I can hear some magpie calls, some fledgling calls for begging out this way, kind of on the north side of the student union and the trees here. So we're going to see what's going on. If there's this might even be fledglings on the ground right over here. Yeah, they are. See if these guys have their wings ready. Hey guys. Yeah, these guys got little wings already. but I think it'll be okay. I think this guy will be alright. Because within a day or two he'll have his wings, and in the meantime he can find some insects and stuff to eat. Then we'll join one of the families, hey? Should we come out? Oh. Hey, baby. There you go. Yeah, he'll get his wings. He'll get his wings in a day or so. So he's just in here, and he's gonna kind of stay in the thicks, probably climb up some of these bushes, and make some friends in a day or so. Hopefully a adoptive family, and be okay.